what effect did she have on the geopolitics, as we've come to call them? How did she change? We know very much how she changed Britain's economy, and to some extent played a role in changing the economy of many countries in the world, in that commitment to smaller government sector privatization, lower taxes. But how did she impact the world's
One has to
political
understand
system?
that after the war, and in the economic conditions that existed, Britain could not by itself be the leading figure, the leading country in the world. So during the war, under Churchill, the idea of a special relationship was developed in which by making itself indispensable as an ally, Britain would gain influence on American policy. Now that's easier said. Having been in high office in the United States, not so easy to gain influence about American foreign policy from American high office. She brought this to a very important point. And she had a special relationship with President Reagan, but she was very influential with George Bush at the beginning of the Kuwait crisis. But she also had a huge influence on many of us whom she saw regularly or cultivated regularly or whatever you want to call it, because she had thought through what the issues were. So you can't point on anything she did alone that changed the world, but I would say the world would not have been changed as effectively as it was without her contribution.
How specifically did she influence President Reagan? I mean, can you give me examples? Was it more of a morale issue?
As I said, I was not in the administration, but I knew all the top people in the American administration, and I saw her fairly regularly. In that period was the time of the missile deployment in Europe. She strengthened his already developed determination by giving it a practical application to the Cold War conditions of Europe, and by the intangible force of her personality. In the late 70s, when I was still in office, and before she became Prime Minister, Britain needed IMF support, and there were discussions whether Britain would reduce or eliminate its ground forces in Europe. Well, when she was in office, those issues did not arise. So she made a tremendous contribution to the morale, to the direction of foreign policy, and of course for British issues like the Falkland crisis.